I can't believe there's no.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. It's a big problem.
It's a huge problem.
It's a big problem.
You got 7 years.
And there's really no excuse for it in Florida either because there's other states that have it.
Ahoy! This is your captain speaking, Greg Michael of Pinnacle Marine Group, Marine Surveyors, and welcome aboard the Nauti Buoys Boat Show. I'm joined by Captain Happy, Glenn Shadbolt, Marine Mechanic and Shipwright, and aboard this vessel, we talk everything about boats, the build, the mechanics, the good, the bad, and the ugly. We go where the seas take us. The topics will be endless. Electronics, marinas, restaurants, vacations, cruising and fishing. Our show includes live callers with real questions. Let's fare these waters together. Call 772-773-2600 every Tuesday between 5 and 5:30 p.m. Eastern. If you're a guest or a caller, you certainly are naughty. Ahoy, and welcome to the Nauti Buoys Boat Show. I'm your host, Captain Greg Michael, Marine Surveyor, and sitting next to me is our beloved Captain Happy, Glenn Shadbolt, Marine Mechanic and Shipwright. And if you're a guest or a caller, you certainly are naughty. All right, Glenn, say hi.
Hey.
Oh boy, he's so upbeat. It's unbelievable. So, I like to start the show with a little joke every week. Last week, I got some complaints that the joke wasn't naughty enough. So
no, it's going to be funny, right? A joke has to be funny, so it's going to be.
It may be funny.
No,
it may
we'll call it a pun.
It may be funny to me, but not you. But that's my personal opinion.
So maybe it's a pun, but we'll see. Okay.
A pun or a joke?
Let's hear what you have.
Joke pun. Okay.
We'll make the decision
All
after
right.
your
We're gonna.
presentation.
So if people laugh, then it's good. Okay. All right. Here we go. A beautiful young New York woman was so depressed, she decided to end her life by throwing herself into the water and drift into the ocean. But just before she could throw herself from the docks, a handsome young sailor stopped her. "You have so much to live for," said the sailor. "Look, I'm off to Europe. Tomorrow I can stow you away and you can come on my ship and I'll take care of you. I'll bring you food every day and I'll keep you happy." With nothing to lose, combined with the fact that she had always wanted to go to Europe, the woman accepted. That night, the sailor brought her aboard, hid her in the lifeboat. From then on, every night, he would bring her 3 sandwiches, make love to her until dawn. Well, 3 weeks later, she was discovered by the captain during a routine inspection. "What are you doing here?" asked the captain. "Well, I have an arrangement with one of the sailors," she replied. "He brings me food, I get a free trip to Europe, plus he's screwing me." "He certainly is," replied the captain. "This is the Staten Island ferry." That was a joke.
That's for the masses to decide. That's not my area of expertise.
Okay, so today's show we have some really good guests. We have Jeff and Aaron Anton from Terragone Engineering, and what they do is they're engineers for building seawalls and docks. Correct, fellas?
Yeah, we do a lot of marinas too.
Okay.
Did some major marinas recently.
Okay, good.
It's a lot of fun.
So just say hi to everybody.
Hi, I'm Aaron Anton. I'm my dad's understudy here as the owner of Terragone Engineering.
And I'm Jeff Anton. And Aaron has actually been with us since he was 19.
Wow.
The COVID was wonderful for our business. I mean, it was just fantastic.
Yeah.
But he came out at that time because they'd send him home from school.
Yeah.
He gets up one morning and goes, "I'm going to a meeting." I'm like, "Where?" He goes, "To some clients downtown." I'm like, "You don't know anything about this business." Like, "Dad, trust me." I get a call about 3 hours later. These people say, "Was that your son that came down?" I'm like, "Yeah." They're like, "He really knows what's going on, and we feel like we're in really good hands." And he's been rocking ever since.
Good.
Recent graduate from the University of Florida.
All right, nice.
This May.
UF.
Class of 2024, yes, sir.
All right. I would venture to guess engineering.
Civil engineering. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, that would be kind of a waste if you didn't do that, right?
Yeah, that among other things while I was in school as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Good.
he got recruited a full ride to Oregon State for grad school in
Nice.
coastal structures.
Okay, good. All right, congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate
Yes,
it.
and Jeff, you're a civil engineer as well.
A civil engineer at the Ohio State University.
The
The.
Ohio
Yes, I'm a
State
the.
University. Oh, you're a
See,
the.
I keep telling him because
Him and I battle on that a little bit.
he's going to Oregon State, which is an OSU, and I went to the OSU. Yeah.
The OSU.
And then
Good.
I also got my master's in coastal engineering at University of Florida.
Okay. So what civil engineers, you could build bridges, work on highways, you could do all that. What made you feel like I want to do more marine stuff?
Well, first of all, civil engineering is not that sexy. Like we're the offensive linemen of the engineering world. They only notice when you screw up.
Right.
So, no, as a kid in Ohio, and I learned to sail on Lake Erie in a Hobie 18 in like 6-foot seas, and then just started really enjoying being in marinas and around boats and stuff. And it's like, well, where do you go with your engineering? There's a recession on. Might as well ride it out in grad school. So
Right.
that, and then I went into development for a number of years, and then the next recession hit in 2007, and I just hanging my shingle out and doing this and that, and started working for marine contractors doing design and permitting, and that was 17 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
So Terragone Engineering, that's your company.
Yes, sir.
All right, so tell the listening audience, just give some information. Terragone Engineering, you want to give a website, you want to give a phone number?
Yeah, the phone number is 772-291-8177, and it's terragoneengineer.com. Go easy on us. We just rebuilt the website. We're still tweaking it, turning out. But
Yeah, I'll just be clicking on it all night.
yeah.
If I can crash it, I will.
Yeah, well, we're trying to put some good content on there for the general public because there's, just like everything else in the world, there's varying degrees of quality, and an informed buyer, informed consumer is really going to do better off. You consider a seawall these days costs more than my truck. I mean, they're upwards of $80, $90, $100,000.
Oh, well, I'm looking at your truck. That's a
What is it
79
average a
Toyota.
foot
So.
That wasn't mine.
What does it average down here a foot? Now you're doing concrete though, so it's different up north. So
We do a number of different materials.
you don't use wood, right?
We rarely use concrete. Wood gets attacked by marine borers, shipworms. You're probably familiar with those.
Using plastic or steel sheeting?
Vinyl, we do a lot of hybrid. There's some new products out where that you have a vinyl leave-in place form, and they kind of stack together like Legos, and you fill them with concrete, so you have this very well-protected concrete wall. We're pushing 75 to 100 years now design life, whereas concrete walls are lasting 30. Steel walls in Miami, they have to replace them every 25 years. So anyway, considering like a typical residential seawall that's maybe 5-6 feet high and on the back of a canal somewhere, you're going to be $750 to $950 a foot. Wow. We did gosh, how many feet in Daytona this
It's a lot more down here
Over
than it
a
is
mile.
up north.
Well,
with the wooden-
up in Daytona, we were doing some 20-foot high oceanfront walls, and those are running
Well, that's-
$3,000 to $4,000 a foot.
I'm talking the average homeowner.
Yeah.
I don't know
average-
how far you have to go down for the hydraulicing. I don't know if it's like a bog up north.
Yeah,
If
we'll
you don't
get.
put it because if you don't get the right guy and you don't put it deep enough, then what happens is the whole place, we have to keep bringing dirt because it just goes underneath the piling and right back up.
Right.
We see that all the time.
Down south in Lauderdale and Broward, Miami-Dade 1, there's some new regulations that are requiring raising of the cap, and so for flood protection. So those walls are now about 14, 15 feet, some of them around 20.
And how far down?
So let's just start from the beginning here.
Ish.
Okay. Let's start from the beginning. You walk us through the process. So first, are you doing more commercial or residential stuff?
We're doing now more commercial, but we do residential. I mean, we just have one right over here in North River Shores, and
So you'll do a backyard dock.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So walk us through this. What's the process? So you're engineers. So you're the guys that are planning. You're doing it from step one, right?
Yeah.
So you got to hire an engineer before you start to, obviously you're not going in your backyard with buckets
Yeah.
and trying to build a seawall, right? I
Right,
got to
right.
hire a guy like you.
But there are people who do.
I know.
Yeah.
And those fall down.
His name's Chuck in the truck.
Chuck in the truck, right? Good.
Yeah.
Do you start with the soil?
So let's start
What's
from the
the
beginning.
beginning?
Yeah, let's start from the beginning.
So, if you reaching out to us first, it's always a good idea to contact an engineer before, you go for a contractor, because we'll essentially get you through the state permitting process in structural design and structural drawings. And then at the point where we've finished kind of that portion of the work, then our stuff will go out to bid. Contractors will bid on it, and then they'll build essentially what we design. Whereas if you go with a contractor first, a lot of times what they're going to do is they're going to try to either just get somebody to seal a set of plans that may or may not have been engineered, or they'll try to get somebody involved to do the engineering kind of for the contractor, and they'll basically be fiduciary to the contractor, so you may not get exactly what you want from a designs perspective. They're going to design what the contractor wants to build rather than what you want to build. So it's always a good idea to start with an engineer.
Right. And it's cost effective using you guys because you may say, hey, listen, the contractor wants to build this, but I've done this over and over and over, and I can save you money. We could build it this way, right?
Yeah, there's a few things that play into that. One, there are contractors in certain areas. Martin County has got a number of contractors who the contractor picks what he wants and then he goes and buys a seal from somebody. They never get soil borings. I mean, they're incredibly important. And I don't know, I've done 8 rebuilds in the last 10 years of just environmental consultants kind of designing a seawall and getting a seal, and then they fall over. And the unfortunate thing is the statute of repose for seawalls in construction projects in Florida is 7 years. It affects us as well in our design. Once that 7 years is gone, bye.
That's it.
Now, our design, the design, every 100 years, every 10 years, you're going to get a fully drenching rain, maybe every 15 years. That wall isn't tested until it hits that,
Right.
complete rainfall, filled up the water behind the wall. It falls over. You're spending another $70,000.
So there's
I've seen it 10 times, and there's no recourse. These people are just flat screwed.
okay.
She's like the girl on the ferry.
She's the girl on the ferry, right? So you liked my joke.
Yes,
All right,
I liked your joke.
So everybody out there who's listening is going to want to know this. How do you build a wall underwater? Like, you can't drain the bay. Just tell us how this works.
You jet it, right?
You're the one who got out of high school and was riding sheep for the summer.
Yeah, so that's interesting you bring that up, because I actually started in this business my first summer out of high school. I was working with a seawall contractor, so I was actually a laborer out there hammering these things in. Brutal work, especially during the summer.
We jetted everything up north.
Yeah, that's
The big jobs, you did the sheathing, you hammered, but everything that I always did throw, we jetted it.
yeah. For the most part, I mean, a lot of it depends on your soil profile. Like if you have like soft sands, like all the way down to however far we need the sheet to go based off of our structural design, then we can jet it in. But if we have some tougher material that might be a little bit more difficult to jet.
Hold on. Time out. So people listening aren't going to know what jet it,
Yeah,
sheathing, soft soils.
I'm sorry.
Sure.
Let's get layman, right? Let's get dumb here. So what do you tell us like I'm building a seawall. What do we do?
All right, so you're going to first of all, you got to pick what material you want to build it out of, and that's going to kind of determine how you would actually go about building it. But 9 times out of 10, it's going to be some form of sheet piling. Now, sheet piling is like a thin cross section pile, and most of the time they're either jetted in, which is when you take a high pressure water hose and kind of put it at the base of it, and then it kind of moves all the stuff out of the way so that the pile can drive in.
Sink.
Yeah, so essentially you're sinking it in, and then once you remove the jet, all that soil is going to come back and then, surround the thing.
Okay.
Or if it's, a harder material like a rock or something like that, obviously you need a hammer for that. So
you're actually like jackhammering that rock out of the way.
It's kind of funny because when you put it like that, because that is kind of what you're doing, but you're actually using the structure of your seawall like material to jackhammer the rock out of the way, if that makes sense. It's like it jackhammers it out of the way as it's going down.
Sticking a knife in the sand. Just
Exactly.
go in the backyard, taking a knife, and you stick it in the dirt, and it doesn't go any farther, so you just hit it with a hammer.
And how far do you go down?
Well, this brings up a good point. Is the
hydraulics
first
of the
part of
soil, which
right.
is important.
First part of our process is we get soil borings. If you're going to get a seawall done or dock, well, not dock so much, but if you're going to get a seawall done and your engineer doesn't get soil borings or your contractor, move on, find someone who does, because you can't tell if you can get vinyl in or if you have to use steel or if you have to use one of our hybrid walls. We have a way to drive down to rock and then anchor it to the rock, all from above. So we have some very innovative designs that we've developed with contractors.
But it's long-term safety to hire somebody who knows what's going on. Because on Long Island, it was all on bog. And the biggest problem is they wouldn't sink everything without the soil sample. You don't send the sheathing to however your dock is. And a lot of the Marines, we kept bringing dirt. It just goes underneath the piling and come back up. And then you put a pool in the back. And now your pool's going to... How many pools have you seen crack because of poor installations? Let's put it that way, because you add all that weight... Because I've added a lot of dirt, and, through the years and seen it,
Did you just scratch yourself?
all the time.
I saw you put your hands down your pants and scratch yourself.
Well, you're not going to do it for me, so I mean...
At least he didn't
I'm trying to
scratch
be
you.
nice. I don't want to ask the guests.
We're keeping it classy.
Well, you said the soil, the biggest thing that I saw up north is if you don't do it right and it's not deep enough, it just goes right underneath the piling. Your pool cracks, your house will crack. So that's why it's important to hire you so you can go from there.
Absolutely. And like I said, 5 years ago, you'd be buying a seawall for $15,000-$20,000. Today, it's $80,000. You wouldn't buy a new car that wasn't designed by an engineer.
Right.
You're not going to just go to backyard mechanics that put together a car for me and whatever I get.
Well, I'm sitting next to a backyard mechanic, and he seems to know how to build seawalls. So, do I call Glenn?
You want to talk about dock building? You want a story?
No.
I'll give you a story.
Go ahead, give me a story.
Okay.
Dock building
So
story.
I worked in Huntington Harbor from 1974 to 1978.
You're old.
So that came to an end, and I got a job at Seymour Boat Shops in Northport. I worked at Derrick. I did dock building. We did moorings. It was a wooden crane. Actually, I got to pick, somewhere. OSHA would just have a fit with this thing. So anyway, my first day on the job, show up to work, and I'm there, and I have to drill a hole through a piling. Now, this is 1978. I'm handed this gas-powered drill that's square, like 2 feet by 1.5 feet by 2 feet. It's painted yellow. It's completely square aluminum. It has a pull cord. You don't see the carburetor or anything. I wish I had it today. And I got this auger on it like this big. My first day at work. Get out there, get it started. I'm about halfway through the piling. Freaking thing takes me and throws me like 10 feet on the dock. And it was the Northport Town dock. And everybody's laughing at me. I'm like, oh, God. Talk about a first day at work.
That's another thing to watch out for is when you hire a marine contractor, their workers' comp has got to be longshoremen's because they're working over water.
That's expensive.
Yes, it is.
Because I have my own business and I didn't have to pay that. And
but if your contractor isn't covered by workers' comp and he gets thrown because he's drilling through an auger and doesn't know what he's doing and he gets hurt.
There's nothing to do. gas powered drill.
Yeah.
Okay, and the bill's you know,
I know.
and you're holding on to for life. You know, and I thought I could hold it back. I lost.
Yeah. Speaking of
What's your story,
yeah,
Aaron?
speaking of a workers' comp violation waiting to happen. So, in that summer, following high school, where I was working for a contractor who shall remain unnamed for these purposes, we were also building a dock as a part of the whole project scope that we were dealing with. It was a seawall and a dock, and when we were building the dock, the engineer did not get a subsurface or a soil exploration, and they didn't know that there was a rock layer about 3 feet below the muck line offshore where the dock was going, right? So we started trying to put the pilings in, and we were hitting rock, right? And so their solution to that was to get an air-powered jackhammer, put an air compressor up on the kind of like the berm of the bank, like the top of the bank, run the airline all the way down through the water, and have me jump in the water with no PPE gear or anything like that. And the site supervisor was literally handing me the jackhammer off the side of the barge. I was catching it in the water and then diving down. Again, no mask, nothing.
Well, you back then was all electric, so I think air. You guys were pretty. That's pretty safe.
Yeah, but I mean,
Yeah,
that
no
jackhammer,
gear, right.
a jackhammer, it's like a 250-pound jackhammer, and I'm,
know.
6
Could
feet
be
underneath
drowned,
the
yeah,
water
right,
line.
right.
Yeah, it was tough, man.
Wow.
Yeah.
He didn't care if you drowned.
No, they don't.
Did you have workers' comp?
I don't even think he really thought of that. I don't know. That's that's a good question. I probably should have circled back around on that before I agreed to do that. But
Now, was that a rented piece of equipment?
it was a rented piece of equipment. Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I'm sure they were real happy with all the salt water on the that was getting into the joints there in that jackhammer. So
So to answer the question, you really don't build underwater. You're not putting on tanks and masks and going down there and building. You're air jetting these things in, and you're water jetting these things in, and you're pounding them down and things, kind of like you would beer. You're pounding down the beer. Right.
Like a fat guy on a seesaw.
You're a fat guy on a seesaw. Right. So now you said cost. So costs have probably tripled in the last 10 years, at least. Yeah. Right. And let's take a very normal, I got a house on the water, on a canal. I got 80 feet of bulkhead, and I got a dock. Give me a cost just for that. 80 feet bulkhead and dock. Guesstimate.
How deep's the water in front of them?
4 feet.
Yeah, you're just out of the outer edge of vinyl, out of the robust vinyl or composite or true line, depending on how long you want it to last. Like I said, we're building things corrosion proof, so we're designing this for 75 years. You're going to look at 72,000. And then a dock, depending on how big the dock is, if you have to go way out because it's shallow. But your dock's going to be 20 to 40,000.
100,000 would be a good
Okay,
Yeah,
so
kind of
let's
120 for your budget.
Yeah.
all right. So let's start at $120,000 for that homeowner. How long does that last?
The dock will have to. The superstructure will have to be rebuilt every 20 years or so. You redeck it, and every 20 years, replace the piles every 50 if you treat them properly.
Okay. Your
seawall, it depends. if that guy ain't chucking the truck and this guy's selling his seal for $100, your seawall is going to last until the next really large rainfall event.
Okay.
Before it deforms, it doesn't fail. It'll deform.
Okay. So is it safe to say that I own the house, 20 years later I go to sell it, that's a big detriment to my sale?
Yeah, we do a lot of due diligence inspections.
Right.
And we don't intend to ever kill a deal. For all the realtors listening, you can call us and we'll give you what you need to know, and then we'll give you an idea on the remedy so you can do the negotiation and
Right.
Because once they know a defect in Florida in real estate, they have to disclose it to every buyer.
Yeah. Yeah. So that can be a big part of your business too, inspections. Just like I survey boats, you survey docks and seawalls.
Yeah, we do some inspections. They take a lot of time. They don't pay a lot of money compared to maybe doing a big commercial seawall, but
Right.
we do them.
Okay. And question I wanted to ask: you guys don't build jetties. Like you'll never have a state or a town come to you and say, "Hey, we need a jetty."
We're definitely
Oh, you do?
capable of doing that.
Really?
Absolutely.
We might do
yeah.
that in Horseshoe Beach.
Yeah.
I mean, the second round
Yeah.
we're doing hurricane recovery. Actually, that's his client.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, and at Horseshoe Beach, it's this little town on the west coast. It's like, if you know where Cedar Key is, it's like 25 miles north of Cedar Key. And they have some pretty serious coastal problems. So we're looking into a number of different solutions, not just limited to a seawall, for protective measures. So
Well, the project that you developed in class, the sustainable
and then also
channel design.
Yeah, looking into some of the jetty stuff and also groins, artificial islands they're doing now, which is really cool. There's
So a
number of
jetty,
different-
what do? You just take a barge with a big crane on it and you throw 300 boulders out there?
Yeah.
Is that pretty much it?
Well, when the boys were little, we're out on the boat one day and we're driving around. I'm like, oh, that was a project of mine. And they're like, what project, Dad? I'm like, well, the revetment up against that seawall. And there's a revetment. And what am I looking at? I said, the stacks of rocks on the thing. And they go, you got how many degrees? I said, 2. He goes, how many years of experience as an engineer? Oh, 20. And you're making money designing piles of rocks?
Did you ever do those jetties where they're like perfectly, where they fit them all and they're so smooth?
Yeah, those are.
But that's expensive. That's like
It's expensive and it's kind of problematic. You want that wave energy broken up, so the more jagged that.
Well, and now the Army Corps of Engineers has developed a new thing called core locks, and they're basically formed concrete blocks that are made
I see those.
specifically. Yeah, they're kind of like the weird like H shape, but there's a prong that goes out.
Yeah, they look like jacks. Remember when we were kids?
Yeah,
You throw the
exactly.
jacks and they look like they put a bunch of jacks
Yeah.
out there, right?
Oh, like the Normandy kind of thing where
Yeah.
they kept the ships from coming on?
Very similar idea. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. All right, so we're getting on in the show. Guys, we could talk for hours. You guys are really interesting. And
They're walls.
Yeah.
Correct. They're not that damn cool.
I tell you, but you guys make them interesting. And Glenn's on his third beer, so we got to keep going, right? So because he will fall over, so we gotta.
Fall over because the beers are over, then I got to trip over you.
Right. He's got to go to the refrigerator to get the beer. But all right, so let's get to the part of the show where we start to take some calls, and we'll get some questions from callers if you guys don't mind, and that should be a lot of fun.
That should be interesting.
That should be fun.
So okay, and here we go. I got a call right now coming in. So hold on one second, guys. Hi, welcome to Nauti Buoys Boat Show. Who am I speaking with, and who's your question for?
My question is for Glenn. My name is Alex.
Oh God! All right, Glenn, it's for you.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, what's going on?
Miller Lite, but besides that, let's see what's going on.
All right, so I got a question. I had my mechanic remove an inline filter on both my engines, the 496s on my 2002 Formula Supersport.
Yeah, a little metal can.
I don't know what it was, but he said I have 2 filters. One's like inside something, but he said he removed the inline fuel filter. on
Well,
both ends.
if it's an early
He said, I don't
8-1,
need 'em.
you
What was
can-
that?
excuse me?
He said I didn't need those extra ones.
Well, the ones that Mercury puts in line between the gas tank and the motor was just a rock and bottle catcher. And if you ever saw one, Formulas all came with them, and a lot of other boats, Sea Rays, and they didn't do anything. So the better part is just to have you constantly, do you have the spin on, or do you have the Cool Fuel 3 with the 3-bolt filter you lift out?
Oh God, I have no idea.
He doesn't know.
Okay. But if
you
you had
told me
the...
they were 496s, and you took off the inline filter that I didn't need them on both engines.
Right. If it was that little metal can in line, it serves no purpose.
So he didn't need them.
He didn't need them. They do nothing.
So he saved your money, Alex. So that's good.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. I mean, he just said they're both apt to leak, so you really don't need them. They don't. He said they don't do anything.
No, basically no. There wasn't even a rock and bottle catcher. That was the right decision, and he did you right.
So I would tell you this. You had a marine mechanic who eliminated parts that you didn't need and didn't charge you for new ones. So keep him, Alex.
Yes. And let me just tell you something. If you got somebody that really knows what they're doing, an early 8.1 has like 12 fuel connections from start to finish. And that's one of the reasons I couldn't do it anymore.
So is a 496 an 8.1 or it's just a 496?
They're both the same. 496 is cubic inch, 8.1 is liter. So it is the same motor.
Yes. So all right, fine. All right, cool.
Correct.
All right. Did we answer your question?
Absolutely.
All right, Alex. Thanks for calling in, and please follow, like, and subscribe.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
And thank you.
Yeah, you know, a lot of people didn't know that. They didn't know the 8.1s were the 496s.
Your buddy Drew was like that for years.
Yeah.
He owned one for 10 years, and I still argue with him over it for years. Oh, my God.
And we call them the $1 million motors because plugs and wires for those things are a fortune.
It was just a good money maker.
All right, so we got
Times
another
3 on the calculator. 2 8.1s and a Jenny.
got another call coming in. Let's get this one. Hi, welcome to Nauti Buoys Boat Show. Who am I speaking with, and who's your question for?
Hey guys, my name's Terry. This question is for Jeff. What do you consider the most critical design parameters when it comes to constructing a seawall or a dock?
Yeah, well, you have to first consider ultimate service condition. A lot of engineers just don't think that we get a lot of rain in Florida for some reason, and walls never fill up all the way to the top. So full hydrostatic design, and then the soils, knowledge of the soils, that then points you to the right answer for how to put the seawall together. But if you don't know the strength of the soils, you don't know what you're standing on. So those are the two key components. The rest of it is math.
It's a good thing he didn't ask me that question.
Yes, it totally makes sense. So I appreciate that.
All right, good. So we answered your question?
Yes, sir.
All right, thanks for calling in, and please like, follow, subscribe, and we appreciate it.
Will do. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Oh, got another call already. So this is great. Look, phone lines are lighting up. Hi, welcome to Nauti Buoys Boat Show. Who am I speaking with, and who's your question for?
This is Rich, and my question is for Jeff.
Jeff, you're popular. All right, Rich, here you go.
Well, after that
Well,
joke,
ask
you know.
Aaron. He's the most recently educated one.
Is does it really matter what contractor you use and what kind of engineer that you use when designing a seawall?
Aaron.
Does it make a difference?
Oh, yes. Aaron's drooling at this one. You answer the contractor, I'll answer the engineer.
Yeah, so on the contractor side of things, yes, what contractor you choose is extremely important. You know, going back to the story that I was, talking about earlier with the jackhammer under the water handing it to me off of the barge, you don't want a contractor that's going to do something like that. There's definitely a certain level of professionalism and past experience that we look for with the contractors we work with. So my recommendation would be to just make sure that whoever you're working with has experience doing the type of work that your project is, and then also making sure that they're listening to your engineer as far as what to put in. So
Yeah, one of the things that, again, protecting yourself, Rich, as a homeowner, you definitely want to make sure your contractor has longshoreman's workers' comp, because that's a direct exposure to you if somebody gets hurt. And marine contracting is not the safest sport.
I have my own business and I'm paying $3,000 in liability, and you always want that person's insurance policy with your name in a little box in the bottom.
Right.
Yeah, correct.
Because whatever account I have to show my liability and put them in the box. So if your contractor can't put your name in that little box on the liability, don't hire them.
Yeah. The other thing about the contractor is indeed start from the engineering, because then all the contractors are from the same playing field, and you're not bidding. You're not bidding a Toyota Tacoma up against a triaxle dump truck. Engineers, yes, it does make a difference. Our experience and really taking all the steps, looking at the soil borings, proper design parameters. And there's a lot of people who don't.
And I think just to add to that on the engineering portion, a really key point I want to make here: there's no Florida building code for seawalls, so there's no structural review for anything that we design as far as seawalls goes.
So it's basically beat them and cheat them.
Well,
it's the Wild West out there.
It's the Wild West out there, and you gotta have an engineer that's gonna stand on their seal.
All right. So did we answer your question?
Yeah, that's a lot of great information there.
All right. Thank you for calling in. Again, follow, like, and subscribe, and we really appreciate it.
And if you need a good contractor, Rich, let me know. I'll point you in the right direction.
Yeah, and please use Terragone. They're a good engineering firm. Okay. Thanks a lot, Rich. Bye. Okay, so I can't believe there's no...
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. It's a big problem.
It's a huge problem.
It's a big problem.
And you got 7 years.
And there's really no excuse for it in Florida either, because there's other states that have it.
And it's stupid money, too.
All right.
So it's like, really?
I got a call coming in, guys. Here we go. Hey, welcome to Nauti Buoys Boat Show. Who am I speaking with, and who's your question for?
How are you? This is Howard, and my question is on the Sea Race series, the L series, the 55s to the 65s.
Oh, so your question would be for me, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Greg
I figured.
Michaels.
Yep.
Greg Michael is who I have this question for.
Okay.
And so I'm wondering about the stringer issue on those boats, and how would you advise someone on those models?
Okay. All right. So it's a very known fact that Sea Ray built in their yacht series, the 55L, the 65L, they had a chemical bond issue with their stringers, right? So I think the chemical they used was MSA, so it failed. A lot of these boats went back to the factory. They were fixed. So what I would tell you is this. I wouldn't shy away from the boat. They built a great boat. The stringers would literally lift from the bottom hull. I mean, it was bizarre because the chemical bond failed. So what they did was they took these boats back and they rebonded them. And a good fix that they used was they would actually use fiberglass and retab these stringers back to the hull of the boat. Made it much stronger, much better. So I would say this, Howard, if you're looking to buy one of these boats, I wouldn't say don't do it. Oh, they had string issues. What I would say to you is make sure that boat has gone back to Sea Ray or a qualified, certified Sea Ray repair shop, and those stringers were done correctly. They were repaired correctly. If that's the case, then no, I wouldn't shy away from the boat.
That was the answer I was looking for.
All right. All right, Howard. So, yeah, go.
I appreciate you taking my calls.
Hey, thank you so much. Please like, subscribe, and follow the show. I appreciate it.
I will. Enjoy the evening. And again, thank you for taking my call.
Thank you, Howard. All right. So, they Sea Ray had some of those issues. But, it's like any boat manufacturer. You guys know boats. You're here in Florida. It's any manufacturer. Everybody's had their problems. Mm-hmm. Just like cars, right? You can go buy any car and one model in 1 year or something, they had a problem. And as long as the company backs it up, stands by it, there's really not an issue. It's the companies that try to cover it up and say, oh, there's nothing wrong. There's no warranty on that. Or, then they get me involved. And then I end up in court. I testify. And they lose anyway, so I'm not gonna lose. I'm like, what's that show? Boston Legal. Remember Denny Crane? I'm Denny Crane. So I think we had a really good.
Greg, if I may,
Go ahead.
one thing that you can find in Florida is very, very difficult, if not impossible, to get seawall insurance on your seawall.
Really?
Warranty is statute of repose 7 years. We now know how to design them and oversee the construction. That we're working towards warranting our walls for 20 years.
Okay.
We don't have the financial. We haven't found the right carrier and underwriter, but we're working really hard to be the unprecedented long-term warranty seawall that will cover both the engineering and the construction, because we're going to oversee the construction to make sure it's built right.
Awesome. So, okay, guys, we're running out of time. I can see the producer over here giving me that eye. So we're gonna have to wrap this up. But we always kind of end the day with a good tip, right? So, tip of the day. My tip of the day is this, and I'm going to talk about docks and seawalls. Why? Because when I survey a boat, very often I'm on a dock or a seawall, and very often you're tripping over loose boards. You got a piling that's loose. You've seen it. I don't have to tell everybody. It's a disgrace. So, listen, when you're rebuilding or you're starting out with a seawall or a dock, hire a good engineer. Hire a good contractor. Have your engineer recommend good contractors. It all starts with the engineer, guys. And I know that because of boat building, right? So you don't build the boat without the engineer planning the boat, right? So it's the same thing. It's like anything. You said it before, right? You said engineer designs the car, then the builders build the car. You guys design the seawalls and the docks, and then the contractor will then build it. So I say, get a good engineer and do it right. And you don't need 5 guys out there with spackle buckets trying to build a seawall. That's wrong way to do it. Glenn, you got a tip?
Yeah. So if you're going to do anything on your boat and you're going to hook up something live to the battery, put a fuse in line. And if you're not sure what the rating is of the unit, even if it's not going to save the unit, at least don't make it so if the unit shorts out, the wire catches fire and burns the boat to the ground. It's better to lose the unit than the boat. So if you hook anything live to a battery, put a fuse on.
Yeah, I've done those damage surveys, so I got you. Yeah, Glenn's absolutely right. Okay, you guys, who wants to do a tip? Anybody got a good tip?
I'll leave that for the big man.
Go to Ohio State.
Soil sample.
Yes,
For somebody
absolutely.
who's been working at marinas for 50 years, I've showed up in people's backyards all the time, and I come up to the boat and I can't get from the boat to the house because the soil's all gone.
Right.
Soil sample.
Get a good topographic survey too. Yeah. That's a big helper.
And the soil sample is important, not only for the mushy old mangrove forest that's 3 feet below ground, also for the rock. If you show up with vinyl and start to drive into rock and the contractor fails, it's going to cost you money. It's going to cost the contractor money. Everybody's going to be yelling at each other, all because somebody didn't take that one step of getting the data. I mean, Would you go to the doctor and not get blood work?
No. I mean, you got to do the right thing. Yeah. Do your due diligence, right?
Yep.
Okay, guys. So I would just say this. We're running out of time, so I'm going to wrap this thing up. For any marine survey information, we survey down here in the southeast of Florida. Again, the number is 772-773-2600. Same for calling into the show. You can call into the show on Tuesdays between 5 and 5:30, and definitely look for the episode to come out on Thursdays, all right? So really appreciate everybody listening and everybody calling in and asking these questions. It's really great stuff. I'd like to thank our guests from Terragone Engineering and Aaron and Jeff. You guys have been awesome. Again, I'd like to thank our producer, Micah Murley, our production assistant, Samantha, and please hit that subscribe, follow, and like button. Tune in every Thursday for the Nauti Buoys Boat Show. Every week we'll have exciting guests and informative news. May you have fair winds, following seas, and tight lines. God bless everybody.